gave him a ticket. First of all, did you just call a person you pulled over sus? Dog, this is not Among Us. But it gets worse because he asked the person he pulled over for their license, and right when they gave it to him, he said he accidentally laughed. So I was like, why'd you do that? And he said it was because the name on the license of the person he pulled over was Bartholomew. So I was like, bro, you can't laugh at someone's name when you're a cop? Like, you're telling me that from now on, if I ever get pulled over, I have to worry about getting a ticket and getting roasted by the cop? We are so doomed. If you're ever choking, do not ask me for help. Because last night, I was at dinner with some friends, and the person next to me started choking. So I panicked because I didn't want him to pass away. So I pulled him out of his chair and tried giving him the Heimlich, but I never learned how to do the Heimlich, so I was just trying my best, and eventually he spit the food out, so I thought he would have been really grateful and thanked me for saving him. But no, instead, he was like, why did you do that? And I was like, what do you mean? I was helping you. And he said, no, you weren't. You were basically just punching me in the stomach. So I was like, oh yeah? Well then how did you get the food out, huh? And he said he swallowed part of it, so he was just able to cough the rest of it out. So from now on, I'm saving myself the embarrassment and letting people give themselves the Heimlich if they're choking. Nobody talks about how hard it is to tell if a girl is flirting with you or just being nice. Because when I talk to a girl, I just automatically assume that they don't like me. So whenever they're actually flirting, I never notice it. Like one time, I was sitting down at a coffee shop, but all the other tables were taken. So this girl asks if she could sit at my table, and I say yes, but then she looks at my coffee and sees that I got a cold brew with oat milk. So then she's like, oh my gosh, that's the exact coffee I get. Do you think it was fate that we met? And I was like, nah, cold brew with oat milk is like literally the most popular way to order a coffee. Then she said, yeah, I guess you're right. Are you getting a coffee for your girlfriend too? And I told her I don't have one, but right as she was about to respond, I said, I should probably get going because I have work. So then I leave and I'm in my car driving home, and suddenly it hits me and I'm like, wait, was she flirting with me? I still don't know because I've thought girls were flirting with me before, so I would flirt back and then they would be like, no. So I never know what to do. Why does British food always look so bad? Because I just saw a video where this British guy was showing off his dinner, and it looked like it came straight out of an easy bake oven. Like he was naming the food on his plate, and one of them was called black pudding, which looked like a hockey puck. So I already thought it was gross, but then it got even worse because he was like, nah, this is called black pudding, which is made out of pig's blood. It's made out of what? You're choosing to eat pig's blood? I was genuinely concerned that someone was holding this guy captive and forcing him to eat this. But no, most British people choose to eat like this, and I get it. In America, our Fanta looks radioactive and all of our food is super unhealthy. But at least it tastes good. Because don't get me wrong, I love British culture, but when it comes to food, what are they doing over there? It's like they're in a Saw movie, and eating this food is one of the challenges. Oh, and don't even get me started with beans on toast. That has to be a prank. Oh, you think girls have it harder than guys? Well, one time, I was on a hike by myself, and I see these girls like 20 yards in front of me scream and then stare at something on the ground. So as I get closer, I realized they were looking at a snake, but they were afraid to walk past it because the path was pretty narrow, and they didn't want the snake to bite them. So when I got there, they asked me if I could move the snake, and I was like, are you kidding me? That thing could be poisonous. And they were like, yeah, but you're a man, you can do it. So then I said, I'm probably more scared of snakes than you guys are. Besides Jojo Siwa, snakes are literally my biggest fear. So I just tried making any excuse possible to not move that snake. I was like, well, I'm actually allergic to poisonous snakes. And the girl was like, yeah, no duh, everyone is allergic to poison. So eventually, I just had to man up, and I got a really long stick and flung that thing off the path. Honestly, girls do probably still have it harder than us, but still, I'm scared of snakes too. Why are people vegans? Because I have a friend that's vegan, and every time I eat with him, he looks like he wants to throw up because of how bad the vegan food is. So I asked him why he's even vegan in the first place if he doesn't like the food, and he said, it's because I care about the animals and want them to live. Well, that can't be true because you're the one eating all their food now. And then he was like, well, I just feel guilty knowing that an animal was sacrificed just so I could eat it. But like, if you don't eat the animal, then it was sacrificed for nothing. You should feel guilty about that. Do vegans not understand that once the meat is in the grocery store, that animal is not coming back to life? Because I'm sorry, but I don't think you can revive a cow after it's already been turned into a Big Mac. And to any vegan who is like, well, if I don't eat meat, then less animals will be used for food. All I have to say to you is that's not true because I've been eating double the amount of meat lately. Wait, pause. This is your warning to never be friends with short people. Because I used to have a roommate that was super short, and on the first day we moved in together, he went to the store and bought a bunch of food, but he left all of his groceries on the counter when he got home because he had to go to work. So he texted me asking if I could put them away, and I was like, yeah, do you care where I put them? And he was like, no, just put them wherever there's space. But this was a big mistake because a couple months later, I go into the kitchen one morning, but something smelled weird. So I start looking around trying to find what it is. I open one of the cabinets and find a bunch of potatoes with this gross white goo on them. Now, I've never bought potatoes, so I knew they were my roommates, and I asked him why he didn't eat them, but he was like, I was looking for those forever, but I couldn't find them because you put them in the very top cabinet where I can't reach it. So honestly, it was my fault, but still, we need to put a ladder in the kitchen or something. Why did all the coolest things happen whenever you missed a day of school? Because one time, I was super sick, so I didn't want to go to school. And I sent a picture to my friends of me laying in bed at like 10 a.m. and said, haha, you guys have to go to school while I'm playing video games. But I was not prepared for what my friend's response was gonna be, because he replied by sending me a selfie of him with Shaq inside our classroom. So I responded and was like, please tell me why Shaq is standing inside my math class right now. And he said apparently our school had the best grades in the state or something. So Shaq came to congratulate us, and they had a bunch of free food and everything. Like, I had good grades too. I deserved to see Shaq. So the next day when I show up to school, I'm like, okay, well, maybe they'll have something really cool today also. But no, the first moment I walk into class, the teacher goes, okay guys, I know everyone had a lot of fun yesterday, but today we have a pop quiz. Why? Like, why do I never miss these days of school? Have you ever had a friend that's always grounded? And it's usually for the most ridiculous reasons too. Like, I have one friend that's a triplet, so he has two brothers that look exactly like him. And one time, when we were younger, one of these brothers was saying mean things to another kid at school. So this kid went to the teacher and told on him to get him in trouble. But the only problem was that this kid got the triplets confused, and he ended up telling on my friend who had nothing to do with it. So the teacher called my friend's parents to tell them what happened, and when he got home from school that day, his mom was super angry and he had no idea why. So she grounded him. But the brother who actually did it just never admitted it until last year because he didn't want to get in trouble. Honestly, I can't blame him. I probably would have done the same thing. The most embarrassing thing you could possibly do at a restaurant is not knowing how to pronounce a dish correctly. Because the first time I ever ate at a Vietnamese restaurant, I saw people at the table next to me eating soup. So I was like, dang, that looks really good. I want to order that. So I look in the soup section of the menu and there was only one option, so I knew it was that one. But when the waiter came and asked what I wanted to eat, with all the confidence in the world, I said, I'll have the pho, please. And he goes, you want the what? And I say, the pho. But he still doesn't understand, so eventually I just point to the thing I'm talking about, and then he just laughs really hard and goes, my friend, it's called pho. I was